Every 5 to 8 years, we experience what we are about to experience on the 20th. And that is an event in an alignment between Jupiter and Neptune. And when these things happen, we want to see the bigger picture. We want to ask, when did this last happen, so that we can connect the dots. And the time that this last happened is in 2018. So welcome back to the official second season of the podcast. It is so good to be back and walking through this solstice season. We are here today looking at an alignment that also occurred in 2018. And I want to teach you how to read in between the lines and weave and just understand what it means for you in your life. So on the 20th, we will have Jupiter and Neptune forming 2 points of a triangle called a trine in the fire element. And the last time this happened between Jupiter and Neptune was in 2018, and it happened in a water element. So the awareness here is building around not only that a trine occurred between two planets, but the different elementals that were present, so that we can look backwards to understand a little bit more about what is happening right now. So if you look at the alignment, we have one in 2018, we have one in 2026, we have one in water element, we have one in fire element. The goal is to discern what that could mean, or what are the practical ways that you could work with it in your life. Now, Jupiter and Neptune trine, if we focus on the trine part, or the angular relationship between the planets and the zodiac, a trine is always a blessing. It is always good fortune. It is always a sign of ease or simplicity in happenings, right? Something that comes easily, connects easily, or should. Right? So emphasis on should be easy, though we don't always let things be easy, do we? So we want to be deliberate. And I want to just have you think for a minute, if anything you can recall that happened to you in 2018. Now, because this alignment is between two outer planets, it tends to occur in bigger events. So I'm wondering if in 2018 anything happened that was significant that you think of. With the water element, we're leaning towards things you had to let go of, transformations that had to occur, maybe kind of a reinvention of the identity, maybe a setback, maybe a push forward, just something memorable is what I want you to pull up from 2018. If you can't get anything to mind, could you look around and maybe old emails, or kind of just go back in time on maybe your socials if you're on there, and just try to get a sense of what 2018 was about, and specifically if there was something you were supposed to let go of. Maybe you were forced to let go of it. Maybe you should have let go of it and you didn't let go of it. But I want you to come to 2018 with a water element lens. I don't want you to miss the message of what could be significant for you. Now, we're moving from water into fire, and I believe there's a connection between whatever happened in 2018 to what happens now. And it circles around whatever is the troubling blockage that occurs between water and fire. Maybe you don't have one. Maybe you have no beef with energy right now, and there's nothing circling in you. But if you do, if there's something occurring, they connect. And the goal is to understand why do water and fire, they're uncomplementary elements in astrology. Water puts out fire, literally, in nature and energetically. Why would we put out our own fires is the biggest question to ask yourself. And when I was reflecting on this, I was thinking about, I was in Europe the last 2 weeks, and I was thinking about an experience I had in Bern, Switzerland. And Bern is the the city, well, we flew into Zurich and we went immediately to Bern, and we were walking around the city, and in the middle of the roads, like if you have like two, you know how there's two lanes in a road, like those lanes were separated by these little middle decorative pieces and fountains. And so we were walking around the city and we were seeing these fountains everywhere. And my nephew was so excited because he wanted to run up and refill his water bottle in a fountain in the middle of the road. And I saw him and I was like, oh crap, he's going to get so sick. Like, you don't drink out of fountain waters. Like, maybe he doesn't know that water is recycled. Maybe he doesn't know that like fountains are like a decorative thing. And so I kind of went over to him and I was like, what are you doing? Like, you can't do that. Like, fountains recirculate water. It's not fresh water. It's not intended to drink. And he's like, no, but I read that you could. And I was like, I don't know. I wouldn't feel safe doing it. I would wait. And so I talked him out of, I helped him not drink out of the fountain. But guess what? I was dead wrong. You can, in fact, drink from all the fountains over in Switzerland. Turns out that the city provides fresh water. Turns out that my water was putting out fire from a place of protection and an unwillingness to transform and see things differently. And I bring up this very simple moment in time because if these little things can illustrate what it's like for water to put out fire, then maybe it can help you see the bigger times that it happens to. Maybe it can help me see the bigger times that my water would put out fire. I took someone's, excitement and openness and faith, and I was like, don't you dare, like, that is going to make you sick. That fountain water isn't for you. Simply because I didn't have any space in my heart or mind in that moment to reckon that there was a government who paid for clean drinking water with running fountains, endlessly running fountains all over a city. And it's kind of powerful, right? When you pause and you sit with what it means to understand the elements. People want to gloss over this all the time. The elements are the fundamental building blocks of all of astrology. It goes fire, earth, air, water. And fire and water are uncomplementary. It's not guesswork here. You just think of it in nature. Fire goes with air. Air makes fire bigger. Water and fire don't. And earth and water go together. It's just the nature of how elementals play and work with each other. None are against each other, but as you can see in your external environment and then in your internal environment, the way you process is elementally. That is my personal belief and opinion, having worked with astrology for so long, is that we process in this elemental way. And we have a beautiful trine saying, hey, this is a time for flow. This is a time for something spectacular. And I'll have the AI prompt walk you into your chart and tell you where I believe this is happening and where I believe the block is. But if you don't understand why water puts out fire, how water puts out fire, why water puts out fire, if you can't be compassionate to that part of yourself, you're just going to end up in a fight over what's natural. I was mad at myself for being tricked by my own awareness into thinking that fountain was poison water, you can't drink it, you'll get sick, whatever. Of course, I was frustrated at myself. At the same time, I just had so much compassion because I was like, what did you expect? You flew an airplane, 13 hours in a different direction, and something that was true for you over there in the USA wasn't true for you over here. And this was different for me because normally when I run into a block between water and fire, it's super in my past where I'm like, oh yes, I used to believe that magnetism towards somebody meant you were meant to connect. Whereas now, I view magnetism towards people as something to be aware of, that there's some sort of energetic connection, but not for the reasons I used to think. But when I look at that water to fire changeover in my life, I see it as, younger Emily believed this. Okay, younger Emily believed that. She was young. She didn't understand. She was starting to, only magnetism was one-dimensional to her. It meant go towards the thing. And then it became two-dimensional, three-dimensional. Could mean a lot of things when I feel magnetism towards places, people, institution, businesses, whatever. I understand it's not a one-note harmony. Well, it's no harmony at all, right? But that's me saying, oh, my past self believed that. But there in Burn, it was my side-by-sides. It was so different than a past future, like reckoning in the soul. It was more of a, oh my God, it is true. Two truths exist exactly at the same moment. I shouldn't drink out of a fountain in the US of A, and I can't drink out of any fountain in Switzerland. They give you free water. And it just depends on where you're standing. And that is kind of trippy, because is there a belief in your life? Is there something that you're not seeing could be true in one place, but then not true in another simultaneously? Because when we believe in things being true, when we get self-protective, when we think we already know, it's not even an issue of fear. In the deepest sense, it's an issue of knowledge. It's when knowledge hurts itself. It's when you think you know so much that you literally will put out any piece of fire that tries to make its way to you. And fire is the beginning of things. Fire is the start of things. It's, we think of sparks in new relationships. We think of the honeymoon phase and in jobs and in locations that you visit and all sorts of things. That's fire. And if you can't have the fire for life, or if you can't feel excited, if you can't dream anymore, if you can't believe in the impossible being possible, it's likely a water putting out fire issue. So take your time this week. The AI prompt will be below, as always. It is going to look at these two planets, and I suspect, though I do not know for sure, but you can sit with it and look with it, is wherever Neptune is in the chart is going to tell us a little bit more about where your blockage might be, and wherever Jupiter is in the chart is where the energy does want to flow, and where you might need to find that gentle readjustment if you're accidentally using water to put out fire in your own life. So thanks so much for being here. It's so beautiful to be back in this new season of the podcast. As always, I'll be back next week. Bye.